Hello, San Francisco, and welcome once again to the Angelic Troublemakers. I'm your host, Alan Jones, and on today's program, Wake Up Black Sports Fans. Now, I guess I've been on a rant of my tiredness with what I see going on in professional sports. And one of my biggest complaints is with NFL is I've been aware of something for quite some time called the Rooney Rule. What the Rooney Rule is it's a rule instituted by the National Football League where anytime there's a vacancy in the head coaching position in the NFL of the 32 NFL teams, the Rooney Rule states that one minority must be interviewed for a head coaching position. I've always thought of it as racist. I still say that it is racist. However, on April 13th, 2017, Dan Rooney, the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers, passed away. And the Rooney Rule was named after him because he was influential in getting it adopted by the NFL. And so knowing what I have known of Dan Rooney, I don't consider him to be a racist. I will say that I thought that the Rooney Rule was named after his father, Art Rooney, I guess the founder of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But anyway, it was Dan Rooney who spearheaded this rule after something that he noticed in the NFL that was not right. Well-qualified black men were being passed over for head coaching positions. But the fact that I no longer will be a sports fan, an NFL sports fan, sitting in front of the TV, sports bar or wherever, watching NFL football. I've been watching NFL football since 1970, and I'm confident that I've seen from start to finish at least 3,000 games. And I'm sure that I've seen at least 1,000 49er games. I'm a huge fan of professional football. How can I deal with the fact that I will not be watching any football? It's simple. Because I see racism taking over. Now, if I can jump back to this Dan Rooney and his passing, from all I heard, the man was just a straight shooter, and he didn't have a racist bone in his body. So why I thought that the Rooney Rule was racist is because to the rest of the league, if you have to have a rule that tells you to interview a black man, you must have some racist owners. And I think that the greatness of the league would be the day that it is declared there is no more need for the Rooney Rule. Now, I am also mindful of the fact that there are some greedy NFL owners. I don't know how much you need to own or have, bragging rights to. But when it comes to NFL teams, a lot of these teams in smaller markets, the owners want to build these big monstrosities and they want communities to pay for them or help pay for them. If the NFL isn't making enough money, I just don't know what it is. I think it's like a $12 billion business. And so, and might I add, I just found out, I think last year, it's a nonprofit organization. I don't get it. But the fact that the Oakland Raiders are bolting for Las Vegas and the St. Louis Rams are bolting for Los Angeles, where they once were, the things that I've noticed, well, there are black communities that are suffering. These teams, I think St. Louis, the city of St. Louis, has like 320,000 in the city, and maybe half of it may be black residents, but it's a poor community. And I'm sure from all I heard that there was an awful lot by politicians that were done to get the team to stay. Well, the owner bolted. And now the city of St. Louis is suing. Basically, they're saying that the NFL did them wrong. Well, they're not going to win. You have to look at the fact that this is a business, and a business should be allowed to go wherever it make the most profit. My objection is when you have 6% of black men in the country and 70% of black men playing in the NFL. And then you throw in the fact that a lot of these teams are in black communities, and you still want to try and, if you will, rate the community. Excuse me. The fact of the matter is it just doesn't add up. I can't imagine how these teams, knowing how their income is generated, when it comes down to it, if they can't make a couple of more bucks, first they'll blackmail and do whatever they can, the city residents and diehard fans. And then, hey, if they can't get their way, they're going somewhere else. No. I mean, you see it too much. I know that the San Francisco 49ers left San Francisco because the owner, Denise York, was tired of living or having a team live right next door to the most impoverished area of San Francisco. The next door neighbor to then Candlestick Park was a housing project called Alice Griffith, or Double Rock. And It was just poverty all around it. Well, when the 49ers then moved, the owner was all happy, and her son, the CEO, Jed York, was trying to get the Super Bowl. And he made this promise. If we get the Super Bowl to come to Santa Clara, where the new stadium is, I'll donate 25% of the profits to fight poverty. You take a $1.3 billion project out of a black community, and then you're going to tell me you're concerned about poverty? Give me a break. I see it all over. This St. Louis issue where the Rams have bolted for LA. Hey, these people, they can't afford to build a big stadium. And so, you think that the NFL is going to pitch in? They could build the stadium by themselves. They have so much money. So why in the world are they going to, just have the city pitch in? In Oakland, California, the Oakland Raiders are leaving the city, and they're on the hook for $400 million for the last stadium upgrade. And it's because the owner of the Raiders and the NFL couldn't come together with an agreement to keep the team in Oakland. Honey, the league could build a stadium in Oakland if they wanted to. Now, why is it that all of these teams are choosing to stiff, the communities when they can't get their way? I can't sit back and watch a team that I've been rooting for when I know that this is, what took place. I've said before on this program, I even stopped buying Levi's jeans. I love Levi's. But because Levi's name is on that stadium, you ain't going to get me to buy no Levi's because I think it was a racist deal. That's my personal opinion. I see the racism here. You don't treat black communities this way. Now, let's talk about the San Diego Chargers. I've been to San Diego. There are not a lot of black people there. I mean, proportion to the city. They're going to Los Angeles. Well, hey, it's a bad situation. I don't like it when teams leave. And I can't accuse the owners of the San Diego Chargers, now the Los Angeles Chargers, of a racist deal, But the fact of the matter is though I harping on this racism issue, it's not only racism, it's greed. It's greed and racism, And for whatever reason, people just can't come together when you have such a beautiful product on the field, But the 32 owners of NFL teams, 31 owners of NFL teams pushing whatever. And when I say the 31, as I spoke last week, the owner of the Miami Dolphins was the one vote to not allow the Raiders to relocate to Las Vegas. And his reasoning was he wanted the team to stay. He thought it was best that the NFL stay in the communities that have supported it so much, as the June 15, 2011 NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell stated in a letter, commitment to the community. It's so hypocritical, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Can't. How can I not watch football? Sure, I could start watching more college games, but it ain't the same for me. I have a friend who's a college football nut. He can't get into pro football, so I get it. But I am a pro football fan. I love it all. But unless something drastically happens, I can't deal with it. Of course, there's certain things that are going on that I know are racist. Might I bring up again Colin Kaepernick? Unemployed Colin Kaepernick? Let me bring this issue up. When Tony Romo was forced out of his position by a younger, might I say, dare I say, black quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, he was looking for another gig. I think Houston and Denver was his two options. Now, out of all of the NFL quarterbacks that were swooped up in this last off season, Colin Kaepernick was passed up, and he was a better quarterback than every one of them. Well, I think that Tony Romo is a better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick. But now Tony Romo, he's going into the booth. He's going to be analyzing NFL games. So why is it that the next best quarterback isn't getting a call by Houston or Denver, who both need a quarterback? Might I also add, the quarterback that Houston had, the owner gave him a humongous contract, and they ate it. I think, don't quote me, there's like $70+ million in guaranteed money. They only signed him last year. How is it that you're that bad, they say get out of here, and they don't even call Colin Kaepernick, who was a much better quarterback in my personal opinion? Why? Because Colin Kaepernick was standing up for unarmed black men when they came under the control of white police officers. Now, that was last September up until now. And this past week, a white officer was caught on video beating an unarmed black man, get this, for jaywalking. Well, Colin Kaepernick is not the problem. So why is he suffering? I'd say, hey, these white owners don't want to touch him. And the corporations that buy their advertising slots for these NFL games They don't want to touch them. Why? White America doesn't like it when someone says something about the white police force of America. So, what am I going to do? True, the alternative for me on Sunday is not a bad one. In fact, I shouldn't miss a beat. Why? I love God. So I should find a church to go to. The fact of the matter is I know that I have been selfish in my desires for entertainment, and I have, missed a few church services because of the NFL. I'm guilty. But, hey, if I find myself a church, I won't miss a beat. But I know one thing, that God could strike me down if he sees me tuning into NFL football under these these present conditions. Why? I'm not going to be a hypocrite on this issue. And I am definitely determined to do what I know is the only thing that I could do, not support it. I can't support it while Colin Kaepernick is doing his best to stand up for unarmed black men. I'm not going to sit down on a couch and watch an NFL game when he stuck out his neck to support unarmed black men. Can't do it. Won't do it. Now, if I see Colin Kaepernick on a team, I might bend a little bit. But I'm not fooled, because there's still more racism that needs to be extracted, not only from the NFL, but from America. Why? Because the owners of these teams are only scared away because of the white sports fan base. And we can't have that. We need to make a statement. And if 70% of the NFL players are black, and we are allowing white America to dictate who is playing and who is not, I think black people need to wake up and really understand, as sports fans, black people have an awful lot of power. Now, I have said that January 2018, I would like to start something called Black Power Month. And this Black Power Month is based on the power of love and education in the black community. That's all it means. It doesn't mean the militant stuff from the 70s, 60s, and 70s. And I'm saying that leading up to that, we can show white America without violence, blacks have power. And they have power, to make a statement, a bold statement, to where this country wakes up to its racist present and make a significant change through sports. And I'm saying that black sports fans should take the lead and basically turn the TV. Turn off the TV. Stop buying all of the stuff that deals with this sport and watch the NFL get a spine. Because I'm telling you, we can make a change in the way we are treated. And might I add, there are some black people that not only do they need a refresher course in mismanners, but we need to look in the mirror before we decide to protest anyone's treatment of us. Because quite honestly, we don't treat ourselves right. And I've seen enough situations to where black people, we do need to clean up our own act. But while we're cleaning up our own act, you know, we need to understand that white America is not against us as much as we are against ourselves. But let's not let white America off the hook. You know, this racism that I see in sports, where a lot of white sports writers and the broadcasters or whatever, they would prefer that blacks shut up and just play. Well, for every black man who has stood up, taken a stand, you know, to injustice, I applaud you. And I appreciate you. And especially when you suffered such great loss. Colin Kaepernick's not the only one. He's just the latest. There's a whole list of blacks who have taken a stand. Said, no. I don't care if I don't make another dollar in my profession. I am not going to put up with such and such, the such and such racism. It's hard. And I can imagine how hard it is for Colin Kaepernick. It's hard for me, and all I do is sit on the sofa and watch football. And I myself, I don't believe it. Me not watch football? Am I rehashing what I said last week? Well, I've been out of town. And when I came back, I heard of this St. Louis, the city of St. Louis suing the NFL for $1 billion. Well, no. I'm saying quit crying. We can stand up. We can stand up, Oakland, California. You don't need to be crying about the Raiders. Stand up and say, I see what you're doing here, and we will not stand for it. And do as I have done. Turn the channel, you know. It's hard. It really is. And what's worse, I even see it coming to basketball. I'll deal with that at a later time. But I'm trying my best to influence my black community in a positive way. And I hope you join me. Until next time, God bless.